Hi there, that's right. Great and glorious, soon to be famous one day, Nick Dutcher back on the camera again, back on internet television on demand for another series of tarot readings. Obviously don't forget to subscribe to this channel via whichever place the button is on screen, and that way you'll be able to get updates the moment that I release a brand new video for you guys, okay? On this YouTube channel I do tarot readings, and this is tarot readings by request, okay? So these are not prepared in advance. All you do is you submit a private message via my YouTube channel and I will add you to the roster. There's always a bit of a backlog, so I can't do them instantly, okay? These are free and by request. So it's not on demand. That's the only thing that I would say, okay? So, shall we get on with the first tarot reading of today? We've got a YouTube inquirer whose channel name is Damned Twisted, one of those another delightful comedy YouTube channel names there. And this individual is about to start in university. It's a very special university. It's a rather prestigious high-level university. And this individual wants to know how the next year is going to work out. As is traditional, I'm doing my shuffling now, preparing for the reading. And we'll see what's coming through. Yes, I know I did promise that I would vary the tarot packs that I use. But today I'm still using the good old-fashioned Book of Thoth because it's the hand, it's the one I tend to use when I'm doing my regular telephone tarot readings. Obviously I do this for a living 24 hours a day and 7 days a week, but actually that's a lie. I do take the occasional day off, and I do of course sleep at night. It just feels like that sometimes, okay? So let's see what the reading says today. We're looking out for strong academic signs. We're looking out for signs relating to progress and a career and all the rest of that fun stuff. Let's have a quick look. Okay, now what some people seem to forget about tarot is that although a lot of people will have you believe that there are certain rigid meanings to the cards, they can actually mean a wide variety of different things. It can be very allegorical, and it does depend upon the question, the situation, the circumstances, and other cards within the spread. So within this particular reading, it starts off on a very positive note. Now do bear in mind that air and fire signs are often associated with matters of learning, things to do with the intellect, and also a sense of gaining more and more knowledge. In fact, I won't just show you the beginning of the spread, we'll go through the whole thing bit by bit. Okay, so this is the way the cards came out. Okay, and we start off there. Okay, Ten of Staves. Ten of Staves is a very important sign, and it has a correlation with the next sign we got there as well, being the Universe card. Now, why would that be? Okay, Stave card, air sign, academics, learning. I know you probably can't see that, but right at the top there, there's a little Saturnian symbol there, which is the vertical line connected to the crescent, but that's been stylized a little. And it is talking about using your mind, using your intellect and creativity and perception in a manner which is almost divine, okay? So in that respect, it's a very strong sign for learning, but it can be as a result of hard work and hard labor. And if you're going through university, you know that you've really got to put in the hours. And maybe that's why this card is often labelled as oppression. It's not a question of something which is oppressive and a negative nature. You know that there is a goal there. You know you want to reach it and you want to achieve it. The Universe card is also a very strong learning sign, for more to do with reflection and contemplation. Now, that's very positive for an academic spread anyway, because it's talking about learning, it's talking about wisdom, and all the rest of that. But it does seem to me that you're almost trying to contemplate what life is going to be like once you've completed your qualification, when you're just starting it, basically. So I would say that the reading is not only saying that you're going to be good, but it's also recommending that you don't run before you can walk up here. Alright? You don't want to be like one of those gamblers who wants to up here spend the money before they've actually won it, if you get my drift there. So you've got to get that into perspective and try and see the task you have to do at that point in time as a task you have to do at that point in time. Sure, you need to manage your time and task management properly during your academic career, but you've also got to think carefully as to how you're working this out up here as well, intellectually speaking. And that's part of the vertical line message on the Saturnian symbol, which is also echoed within the Universe card itself. So do bear that in mind. And I don't know whether you can see that, but at the bottom of the universe card there's actually another Saturnian sign there. So that's pointing out that this is a very strong message for you. Hard work, dedication might feel very oppressive, but there's a goal there and you can achieve it. So, you know, your synapses are really going to start growing with all the knowledge you're going to get. So maybe you're going to find your first year or your first few terms a little hard, but try and get used to it. Break on through to the other side, as that great modern-day Saint Jim Morrison once said in one of his songs. Now, moving on from there, you will also notice towards the end of the spread, we've got signs which are also very air and fire orientated, namely staff and sword signs. And they're also looking very successful. There's a sense of celebration there with the card marked Valor. Just see if you can get that more clearly on camera. That's the seven of staves there. A very strong sense of a winning, a feeling of victory and achievement, followed by a state of peace and tranquility. So you're going to be proud of what you've got when you've got there, and once you finish your studying you're going to feel an awful lot better. Now I want to run up to that, the middle part of the reading. That's full of signs relating to further contemplation, as is present in the Moon card, and also a sense of enjoying yourself a bit too much. That's also a bit of a caution sign there. When I was talking about your time and task management, you've got to work out how much fun you can actually have, taking into account that you've actually got a very real long-term goal to reach and you don't want to basically screw up. You want to make sure you keep focus. So there is going to be fun, there's going to be recreation, there's going to be parties. This sign here, the Seven of Cups, being a cup sign, is also related to the issues relating to romance and friendship. So there's something else happening there for you as well, as a result of being in college, being amongst all these wonderful, young, exciting people. So it's all really rather complex and beautiful for you, but there is a sense that there is something around the corner. So look forward to the end goal, but do just keep yourself realistic and keep yourself focused one step at a time. Alright, now we've got another great tarot reading to do today. This is for a YouTube user whose channel name is Salvation Warrior, which is a new inquirer. And let's just quickly see what's coming through today. As is traditional, giving the cards a quick shuffle. Now, Salvation Warrior wants to become a psychologist. I think it's quite interesting that the channel name has the word salvation in it, and the interest is in psychology, as if this particular individual has a desire to dedicate themselves to trying to do something which is good for other people in the long term. So very philanthropic, a sense of wanting to be dedicated to something which is really rather good. There's a lot of great divination that you can do just through people's YouTube channel names and the questions that they ask, if you get my drift. Alright, but let's just see what the reading says about the possibility of going into psychology as a field, studying it, doing it as a job in one form or another, or indeed applying it to industry maybe. So let's have a quick look. Alright, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Again, this is an academic reading, and we've got some very strong air signs coming through there. Now, I know that it's a quarter of the minor arcana. There are stave signs which take up 25% of the minor arcana, so is it really all that unlikely that those particular stave signs are going to come through? Well, it depends upon the nature and the meaning of the sign and in relation to all the other signs which appear in the reading. This is something you've got to bear in mind, as well as anything else which appears up here for me. Okay? Now, this one here, this is the Two of Staves. Two can speak about duality, being in two minds, and also having a number of different goals associated with your longer term future. Being a sense of dominion, there's a sense of preparation for something in the longer term future, as well as a desire to be the one who's in control. So, from that I would say that you've already got a good idea as to the changes you want, not only in your life, but in the lives of other people. Okay? You've got a thesis which is emerging there within you, and you know that there is something which is good which you can give to the world, but you're concerned about the quality of challenges which are going to come your way. Now, if I felt that you couldn't make it, or if the reading felt that you couldn't make it, we'd have signs of destruction coming in the rest of the reading. Do we have that for you today? Bottom line, no. The next two signs are talking about success in two different ways. Firstly, there's a feeling of long-term financial success, which is being echoed at the end of the reading, with some very strong coin signs and a sense of an authoritative character. The Queen of Discs, Now, the Queen of Discs often refers to a very senior or matriarchal female character, or someone who has that type of role. If you're moving into psychology, you probably want to care for people in one form or another, not necessarily in a way that they themselves think is a good thing, but in a way in which yourself and society as a whole seems to believe would actually be appropriate for the individual. So in that respect, I see you as developing into that individual who can care for lots of people within, the limits of your own energy, your own character, your own personality, and the rest of that. But in order to try and reach that level, we've got two different forms of success signs here. Firstly, there's the financial success, and secondly, there's the feeling of victory. What's the difference? Well, victory comes after a conflict. Victory comes after a fight, in which you've been, struggling, if not to the death, then to try and make sure that your needs and your goals are being fulfilled against an adversary. So you're not going to find it easy. Maybe the coin card is talking about financial success and making sure you balance your priorities. I mean, I find that when I'm doing my tarot reading work, I come across a lot of other people, both on the internet as well as face-to-face, who either have an interest in doing this work for themselves, or they are already within the industry, and they find it hard to balance the desire to make money with the desire to help other people. Alright, that's where the moral bargaining, the moral debate comes in with someone who's got a desire to help others. I mean, obviously what I'm doing here is technically and legally regarded as being the entertainment industry, so there's only a certain number of things that we're allowed to cover, or indeed that we should be covering. Alright? We shouldn't be going into too much detail or too much depth, because the vast majority of the responsibility is actually in the hands of the inquirer, and that's something that most inquirers seem to forget. And if you're a psychologist, or indeed if you're a counsellor, to a certain degree, that's also true. I mentioned in a video on my other channel that when I'm doing something of a more counselling orientated style, I have to learn when to sit back and be silent when I'm in conversation, to allow the inquirer to come to their own conclusions on the basis of the conversation and the situations they find themselves in, because it's their life. Now, if you're going to take your psychology to counselling, you're probably still going to have to think like that, and to only interfere to a certain degree, and getting the balance right will be different for your industry or your niche as opposed to my niche, but it will still be there basically, and so that's something else that you've seriously got to bear in mind. But on the other hand, the signs of there being financial stability for you, you reaching this level of being someone who can care for other people, of you being able to take the message that you've probably already got in yourself and wanting to try and bring that into the outer world, is there in quite a big way, quite a predominant way within this reading. Okay, we've got Angel Steve 41. Now, I think Angel Steve 41 has inquired before, and in this particular case it's an inquiry about a career in mediumship. Now, a career in mediumship doesn't necessarily just mean a job. It means developing your skills and moving along the course of your life. I mean, the word curriculum vitae that we use in England to mean your resume, as you call it in America, comes from the Latin word meaning the course of your life. Okay, so the career is not just doing something for a living. It's a question of how things change, how you change, how your skills improve, and all the rest of that related to the subject at hand. Now, the subject at hand is becoming a medium. And mediumship happens on a lot of different levels and in a lot of different ways. And with practice, you start to discern different varieties of sensations, thoughts and feelings that come through to you. You try and work out which are from yourself, so that you can try and exclude that, which appear to be coming from the outside, and which out of those impressions which appear to be coming from the outside are the right ones to give to the person who's inquiring. Alright? And so on and so forth. And you also develop like things such as clairaudience, and occasionally hear things, and that can happen in lots of different ways as well, either through an impression that appears to contain the message or meanings of certain words, or through literally hearing words. There's a very broad and complex spectrum associated with that. So as you go through your development, as you go through your progress, you'll have to learn the different types of mediumship type sensations that you experience whilst you're actually going through the whole process of becoming a proper spiritual medium. But you're basically asking you whether you're going to be able to be successful and reach that level. Okay, well, I've already pointed out that it's not black and white, is it? Alright, it's not just one thing or the other. It's not success or failure. It's building up skills with time. So I'll just have a quick look and just see what the reading says there. And I would expect there to be probably a few water signs, a few signs relating to empathy, or indeed dealing with the other side maybe. Okay. Well, I did mention empathy, didn't I? What is associated with empathy? Love. I think you're going to start off on a much more empathic level, or maybe that's where you are at the moment. I did say water signs, didn't I? Well, the Empress is often regarded as a water sign. It has very strong feminine associations, and there's very strong watery signs in it. If you look very closely, I don't know whether you can see that, there's a crescent moon on the what is probably the left-hand side, the way you're looking at it, just about there. And that's also talking about sensitivity. It's a waxing crescent moon, which is talking about an increase of skill, sensitivity, intuition, and perception, which is a very positive message for you right now. Even more feminine signs. I shuffled the cards very thoroughly, but yet we've still got the Queen of Discs coming out, and that's essentially talking about stability. That's talking about a feeling of progress. And even more importantly, stronger water signs being the Two of Cups, talking about love. Not love as in sort of like, ooh baby, but love as in care and compassion and sensitivity. A lot of good reading work is done through the emotion of love. Alright, a lot of people who say they do spells and they do witchcraft of various different types use the emotion of love. And of course in Christian spiritual healing, as well as in Christian spiritualism and mediumship, it is believed that love is essentially the power and the energy of God working through people. So that maybe that's an emotion that you've already got in you, and you can learn to channel that, direct that, play around with it. As you're going through your own developmental exercises, keep notes, whether they're up here or whether they're written, as to how you're progressing, the different sensations you get, and trying to compare and contrast the different thoughts and feelings that you get, so you grow as an individual. Don't try and treat this as being a top-down approach, okay? Don't try and see it as other people giving you information which you have to absorb. That's only part of it. The rest of it develops inside you as you start learning about what you've experienced. Right, the rest of the signs here, slightly different message. Okay. The Hanged Man. Why would he be turning up? That's not a positive card, is it? Well, there is always a message of fear of treachery associated with the Hanged Man. Maybe there's people around you in your immediate family or in your friendship circle who are not happy with you, delving into things that they disagree with. Maybe there's a feeling of fear from these people about what you might become or what forces you might be dealing with. Ignore them. The Hanged Man actually came out when I dealt it as reversed. It's not a very powerful or predominant sign. It's just talking about some niggling interferences. Some things you'll have to keep quiet about as you go through your process and, the growth and development. And the thing which counteracts it is two very strong signs relating to willpower. The Ace of Wands. Brilliant. Absolutely divine. Keep focused. And remember, this is your path, not somebody else's. The fact that it's an ace talks about yourself as an individual, going through the process of learning and developing all by yourself, and being determined. So the determination is good. You don't have to turn that into internal stress, because if you do that, that can be negative and that can slow you down. That can make it difficult. So see this as growth and development bit by bit, because you don't know what it's like to be a medium until you've got there, or until you've spent maybe 5 years or 10 years being a medium. And finally, signs of victory. Yeah. That's a very, very good message. Yeah, there's going to be some opposition. I think that the Hanged Man is also essentially expressing that you've got to be careful who you're getting involved with. We don't always like to walk this path alone, but finding the right people is a challenge and an art form in its own right. And maybe you'll make a mistake along the line and you'll have to recover from it, as I had to. But don't worry about that too much, because all the rest of the signs are driving you in the right direction. That sort of feminine principle, that guiding, loving principle is very, very much a positive and important attribute. You don't just want to do this to experiment. You actually got a drive to be beneficial. We've got a lot of therapeutic readings coming through today for some reason. Alright, but never mind. I think you're going to make it, and I think you're going to make a very good medium, but just give it time and give it development. Okay, someone whose YouTube channel is Taboo9 wants me to read on an individual called Buttons. Alright, there's a very long, very complex story associated with this particular reading, so I'm just going to cut to the chase and read on Buttons and try and keep it nice and focused, because essentially the quality of complexity of that particular story is something I would normally want to do on like a half-hour one-on-one conversation reading, rather than just to do on a couple of minutes as part of my regular tarot shows. So let's just see what comes through, okay? Reading on Buttons and yourself. 8-card traditional relationship reading. See what kind of thoughts and feelings come through. Right. Difficult. On his side of the reading, the lightning struck tower talking about a sense of destruction and instability, as well as the Four of Swords talking about a form of trying to get some peace and balance involved. So, complex situation, he is unstable. He himself cannot settle down. He himself is worried about the complexity of his life, and he can't actually think about how to make life easier for himself and easier for other people who he gets involved with. This is the signs of a troubled man. The feeling is that he's keeping a very superficial, a very mock level of peace between you and him at the moment, because he's preparing for the future. He wants something good to happen in the long term, but he at the moment can't see it. I get the feeling he's rather depressed, rather anxious, rather fearful. As a result of that, it makes the whole situation between you and him difficult. So the Knight of Wands here, in this particular case, is not coming out as a good card. That's the forces between you. That's the emotions between you. Talking about frustration and the fact that everything is a fight. Everything is a battle. Alright, but there's no, at this stage, victory. There's no, we don't have like the Chariot or the Six of Coins here. We don't have that kind of feeling coming through within the here and now. We've just got this sense of possible futility. Is this really the right quality of individual for you? Is this really someone whose life is sufficiently sorted out for you to actually be involved with and think about the longer term future and how you're going to get there? In that respect, it feels very difficult indeed. I mean, the emotions are complex, and I think you're dealing with a man who's very difficult indeed as well. I mean, on your side of things, we've got a feeling of patience, but there's also a sense of restriction, because on one side of things, you're aware, or you feel that you're aware, that there is some potential in the longer term future and you can really make something good happen. But he's just got to get up his backside and start being good for a change. That's essentially the issue. So you feel like you're drawn towards him as well as being pulled apart, away from him. My recommendation would be to give him a bit of space and see other people in the meantime if you need to, because you've got to focus on yourself, keeping yourself nice and strong. You're already a down-to-earth individual, and that's good. But are you down to earth enough to be able to deal with the fact that he is an individual who's essentially got problems? That's where I would think that you've got the issues. The problems aren't you. The problems are him. And the problems are the fact that he, Buttons, has to sort his life out. I don't think that he's prepared to. There's also little things he could be doing, such as a spot of counselling here and there, getting a bit more spiritual so that he can calm down and get a bit of perspective, but he's not doing that right now, and that's why there's even more frustration for you. You know, it must be really, really irritating right now, but there's still a bond there, and that's where it's difficult. But despite the fact there's a bond there, at the moment, give him some space. Let him sort himself out. Alright? And you need to focus on yourself and your life and get yourself stronger so that you can actually deal with him later on down the line, when he's actually got his head out of his backside and he started to, you know, settle down and smell the coffee. It's one of my expressions, okay. So that's tricky. Okay, future progression according to the reading. It's a difficult one. I mean, the reading is suggesting in the midterm future you being bound together in a much more affectionate and calmer situation, but that's about 3 to 6 months down the line from now. Your longer term future signs still showing signs of interference. So unless he really gets himself sorted out, he's not really the right individual for you at the moment because he's got too many issues. The short-term future, namely the first sign, the yellow card there, that's talking about some communication coming through in the Prince of Swords. So he's actually can be quite eager to make things happen, but he's also a bit of a lazy bugger. So it's difficult. I think I'm going to leave that there and just remember that you're the most important person in your life and not him. You need to look after yourself, you need to look after the child, and that's the most important thing to do. And only when you're strong enough can you actually care for more people. And right now he is someone who needs his own therapy. He needs to get himself sorted out and strong so that you can actually feel happier in the longer term future about yourself and about the whole relationship situation. That's the way that I see it. This is a reading for Sky 71561, I think. And she's got a very special someone in mind, but she doesn't see him all that much. Alright, so let's see what the reading says about that. It can be very difficult, but I mean, this type of situation is very difficult because you love someone, you care for them, you haven't seen them, so there's separation, there's distance. So you're torn between caring for yourself and caring for them and wanting to be patient. It's difficult. Let's see what the reading says. Just a second, please. Again, standard 8-card relationship reading. See what comes through. He loves you. He does. He really loves you. But he can't make it happen. We've got the Queen of Queen of Discs there in between the two of you. She's coming up an awful lot, but in this case she's negative because she's in a part of the reading dealing with the forces between you. She's an obstacle. I feel he may be involved with somebody else though, so he's probably not happy there. But will he have the courage to leave? He's ambivalent. There's a sense of the fact he's ruined his life. He can't settle down properly, and things aren't working out according to plan. There's a sense of being cared for. There's a sense of being loved, and a sense of there being some happiness there to a certain degree within certain limits, but it's not a euphoric love. So whoever he's with, he's not in the right place or with the right individual, so that's complex. And there's no real strong willpower signs. I mean, although we got fiery colours, we got a sense of there being energy and drive. Just remember that this Ten of Swords is called ruin sometimes, so he's not got the motivation to get free. Maybe he feels trapped. I mean, he's got the emotions for you, but having emotions and having action, they're two different things. You need to have both together in order to have a successful introduction, let alone a successful relationship. I mean, on your side of things, it's all much calmer indeed. You've actually worked on yourself, you've done a lot of personal development, you're actually in the right place to be able to start a real relationship. You've got more love for him than he's got for you, that much I will say. So there's an imbalance there, a bit of a disconnect. So that feels a bit discordant maybe. According to the future, you will bump into him again. And we do have some romantic signs there. We got the Moon card, we got Two of Cups, again very beautiful, very loving, and we got some signs of strength and power. So it looks very positive. On the surface it looks positive. But if he doesn't have the freedom to get away from this other individual, do you have a future? That's something you got to ask yourself. Okay, this is for Oklahoma, and there's there's a few numbers after that particular channel name, but I'm not going to mention them all. What the hell? It's not important. What is important is the reading, and she's interested in the relationship with her husband. So let's have a quick look and see what the reading says. Just shuffling now. I always shuffle very thoroughly, even though some similar cards come through. Okay, that's because that's the way it comes out. It's not because I'm making it that way. All these readings come straight out, and I tell you what I can see here. Okay, and that's the way that we've got to see it. Now you're asking about lasting forever. The forces between you, it's talking about a sense of planning and preparation. There's something in the future there, something of a solid and stable nature. On his side of things towards you, he's got a bit of a troubled nature and a troubled background. There's passion there, but there's connectivity. You're always going to maintain some communication and contact, because that's basically what he wants. On your side of things, you're able to be forgiving about the past, but this time we got the signs of ruin on your side of things, showing a lot of frustration, and I feel that you feel held back and you feel trapped. Okay, so it's difficult. Now, as far as progression into the future is concerned, the energy there is very different indeed. Alright, we got loving signs. He's not very good at actually taking action, but I feel as he will start taking more action with the passage of time. We got some healing signs there within the short-term future, which means that if there is a distraction in his life, he may start trying to get rid of that distraction to help create progress. And in the longer-term future, there's more signs relating to control and being able to be in a more controlled situation so that you can enjoy the relationship between yourself and him. So, you haven't got the easiest marriage in the world there, have you now? But you have got a marriage. And you have got one which has the potential to last. And yes, there is love there which does go both ways. And I would say that this has the potential to do really rather well. Okay. Well, those are tarot readings I'm doing for today. Remember, this is by request. It's not on demand. I can't provide you with your reading just like that, just when you need it. Also, I'm approaching a busier time of my year. This is a very seasonal job, and it's only for like about 5 or 6 months of the year that I actually do well enough to be able to feel comfortable about paying my bills. Okay, so for 6 or 7 months of the year, I do struggle somewhat. So my ability to get videos out is rather variable. Okay, which I just confess that to you, so you basically understand and know where I'm coming from. All right, now, as I'm sure a lot of you know, I am available for readings on Keen.com. I'm available for readings on liveperson.com, as well as on a few good quality British websites such as Kooma, KOOMA.co.uk. Alright, and a few others. So look out for the name Nick Dutch as you travel around the internet. Just go onto Google, search for Nick Dutch and the word tarot, and see what you can come up with, and you'll find that there's an awful lot of presence that I've got out there because, hey, I'm Nick Dutch. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, because that's the best way of getting up to the minute updates as to the various readings I'm doing, the reading videos I'm doing, and anything else I might want to put onto this channel. I don't just want to use this channel for pure tarot readings. What I do want to do is to advance from that and actually do other things such as more Ouija board seances, pendulum dowsing experiments, and a few other really rather cool things. So if you've got a taste for the paranormal, an interest in things of a rather wacky and kooky nature, or more of a concern about humanity and about the human condition, the human mind, and what it means to be a human being, then subscribe to this channel, and I'm sure I'll be able to enlighten you, entertain you, give you a different perspective, and basically show you the way that I personally feel a really good tarot reading should be done. So whether you're learning tarot, whether, there's so many reasons just to subscribe. So click the button already. And also don't forget to favorite and rate. If you want to have a reading done and have it included in this show, do not leave it in the comment section. Do comment on the video by all means, but do not leave your request in the comment section. I want to keep it all nice and structured so I can just go through the rota, select the readings I can do in order, okay? And then start creating the videos that way. So send me a private message to this YouTube channel, Nick Dutch Tarot, all one word, lowercase, okay? And I'll be more than happy to add you to the rota. Halloween's coming, so hopefully we'll be able to get a few good and interesting, more in-depth or more spiritually driven work done during that time. And I will definitely look forward to speaking to you again soon. I do hope you've enjoyed the show. Alright? Good fortune, God, and or Goddess, and or none of the above bless. Nick Dutch, signing out for now.